Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. We have the distinct pleasure of having this fireside chat with two outstanding representatives from Merck, Hazel Moran and Terri Stewart, who are going to talk about caretakers, the importance of caretakers and the caretakers of people who are aging and people who have disabilities. This is a very important subject matter that we have been dealing with in the global initiative on aging and in other forums on the need to have an adequate policy, an adequate active understanding of the importance of caretakers in our realm. As a person who is aging, I am more inclined to saying that I think that this is one of the relevant issues of the future, as we will have 2 billion people who are aging by the year 2050, which is 26 years from now. And so I just want to frame it in the adequate form of the tendencies of the world on the issues of aging. I will first like to ask Hazel the following question. When it comes to caregiving and aging, what do you see in the role of public-private partnership in this field?
Thank you so much, Ambassador, it's an honor and a privilege to be the first and only pharmaceutical company to be invited to the Zero Project Forum. We're really thrilled to be here. EMD Serono is the U.S. healthcare business of Merck KGaA Darmstadt, Germany, and we are a global specialty innovator creating solutions for difficult to treat diseases and illnesses, including multiple sclerosis, fertility, and oncology. And for us, the private sector can't afford to sit on the sidelines when it comes to addressing the issues of aging and caregiving. And it's through our work together with GIA that we really see opportunities to reach many more people. As a company that is patient-directed and listens to and learns to what matters most to patients and their caregivers, we have relationships with patient organizations around the world, over 300 groups that we work with. But even so, we find that through partnerships with GIA, we're able to have more reach and have more influence and do more together. And when it comes to these issues, when you have an aging population that is going to put strain on an already strained healthcare system, we really need to have creative solutions. And that's why we're so excited and thrilled to be able to work with you on offering up training courses for caregivers because they're often thrown into responsibilities that they are not equipped to do or take on. And so through GIA's wonderful courses, we are able to help educate and equip caregivers on how to do things, simple daily tasks that caregivers provide, including addressing nutrition and diet needs, providing social supports, and really helping caregivers feel less burnout because they have the tools that they need to be successful in supporting patients. And when you have a healthy caregiver, you have a healthy patient in the end, and health outcomes is really what matters to us, is improving and prolonging the lives of patients and caregivers around the world. So for us, this partnership with GIA has become really a shining best practice that we are so excited to do more with you in the future.
Thank you very much, Hazel. I think that the issue of caretakers, as you have just framed it, is one of the most important and relevant issues of the day. When Sylvia and I visited an organization in Spain who trains, Sylvia Neira and I visited, the vice president of GIA visited an organization. We learned a lesson, a very particular and human lesson. It was in an organization called Vértice, which was training caretakers to assist people who are aging. And one of the things they told us was, we train assistants to take the person to the bathroom as a person not as a chair. And I was very impressed by that simple analogy that you need to give caretakers the capability, the structure, the security to do an outstanding human job of sensitivity and so on. So what you were just saying reminds me of that experience. Uh, Terri, I would like to ask you, given the tremendous time and resource burden that often accompanies caregiving, especially when caring for someone with a progressive illness, many caregivers worry about their ability to keep outside employment. What do you see as ways of employers can support caregivers, especially as the number of caregivers rises every year?
So there are a lot of things that employers can do to help caregivers. And I always like to think of caregiving as one of these situations where, being a caregiver is any one of us at a time in our life. And so all of the solutions we think about, we have to consider it's a job for all of us to do. And so I'm really, really proud of what we've been able to do at our company to help our employees. And part of that has been, one of the ways you can help the majority of caregivers is to give flexible work hours and options for remote work when possible. And so that alone is a huge benefit and something that we certainly provide. Also, we provide training. So when managers talk to employees about, their need for greater support or any accommodation, that it's something that isn't sort of a fearful conversation that somebody is having where they feel like their job might be in jeopardy because they're talking to their manager about this. And so that training is mandatory for all of our employees, and something we take very seriously is building a culture inside of our company that's supportive of caregivers. I would say that, though, that probably culture is the most important thing. And the way that we do that is with sharing caregiving stories. So our leadership themselves will share stories about their roles as caregivers in their lives. And we have programming where, our employees are sharing with their colleagues about the personal details of their lives and how they've cared for loved ones. Of course, those are things I think everyone can do. And then I think that sort of special things that we do, of course, is our partnership and our ability to go beyond to help caregivers outside of our company gain more skills and have sort of validation of the skills that they have and that grow within them as they provide caregiving services. And then, I always have to say it as somebody who has spent my whole career in government and public policy, is that one of the other things we do, of course, is we advocate for governments around the world to think about caregivers in, broader policy initiatives. And then within our sector in healthcare, there are ways that we can operate in our business in the public sector, whether it's research, clinical trials, patient care, that you're thinking and considering how this affects caregivers and how that can be part of the work that we do at its very foundation. So I think there's a lot of work to be done by employers, a lot of work that could be done by policymakers, and so very proud of the things that we've been able to do. And again, I have to echo what Hazel said. I think we're excited for this next year and continuing the partnership that we have. And our plan is to continue to provide more trainings and do some focus on mental health, as it's sort of a growing concern, both for the people that are receiving care and for the caregivers themselves.
You bring up a very important point. The issue of health care, maybe caring for the health carers is one of the most important issues of the day as the numbers and tendencies of the world grow in aging. Hazel, there's a lot of discussion right now around how new technologies might shape healthcare. Things like AI and digital resources.
Yeah.
What sort of advancements are we seeing for caregivers, and that more are needed what more are needed to ensure caregivers and patients are receiving the help they need in the modern age?
That's a great question, Ambassador, and I would have to say there's still a lot of questions around AI and what that means for patients and caregivers. But what we fundamentally know is that patients and caregivers need to be part of the creation of solutions so that they can ultimately inform better outcomes. So for us, I think training is key. listening to caregivers about what's going to really matter to them in their daily lives will help build a better solution and ultimately help patient outcomes. And there's still so much that we don't know, but in talking to the caregivers we partner with, because we you know, through our listening and learning from insights from the community, we know that there has to be a seat at the table for caregivers and patients both, and folks to really tell us what we need to do. As companies that are in the digital health space, we make a priority to include patients and caregivers in our advisory boards to understand, okay, what do we need to tweak or do a little differently? And I think it's really important that we all, you know, create these opportunities for more input to create patient-directed solutions. But we're not there yet. I mean,
Yes.
so much more training has to happen. And you know, partnerships like these are so important to doing so. So a lot of work to be done, but certainly a lot of great opportunities.
I agree with you completely. I think that when we were negotiating the Commission on Disability, Article 9 was about accessibility. Accessibility in the sense of, you know, wheelchair ramps and dots for the persons who can't see and so on. But we also included something that was an agreement between the rest, and that was access to technology. Because technology can mean an extraordinary jump in the ways that that can make life easier for persons with disabilities and aging, people who with artificial intelligence. The expectations are enormous. Obviously, it's still a challenge to understand it completely and how we can do that. My last question is for Terri. As the population globally are aging at an increasing rate, we run the risk of decreasing amount of paid care available, which will inevitably shift the reliance to unpaid care. While many countries are thinking about their population dynamics and the birth rates, they have not all thinking about what will mean for caregivers. How can societies set themselves up for the success while ensuring they protect the well-being of the caregivers?
Yeah, so there's a lot of investment that can be done in preparing people. I mean, we know we have an aging population. We know that we have diseases that will happen over time, and that, you know, right now 1 in 5 Americans are a caregiver and 1 in 10 Austrians are a caregiver. So the chances are really great, and that statistic is only on the incline, that any one of us will be a caregiver in our time. So training, support, and policies that really, you know, paid leave and others that support people to take time to take care of their families. It's another thing I love about our program is in that validation, you're allowing people to potentially have a career as a paid caregiver from the standpoint of taking trainings as an unpaid carer for your family. And then I would say finally, the other part of it is really, I think that we have to make it part of the things that we think about. So we think about, you know, when we create families and parenthood is sort of a condition of the world. We think about disability, probably a lot this week being at this conference, but it's something that we sort of acknowledge. And so I think caregiving is, you know, awareness and support are the things that are really going to shift policy, shift public perception of it, and really make it more and more acceptable for us to provide the type of services and support that we need.
Thank you very much, Terri and Hazel, for this opportunity. This has been a Zero Project fireside chat, and we're very honored to end it with a message, a profound message of the need for care for the caretakers that we so much need in our world. Thank you again.